Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We've got some big news at this hour. The Supreme Court has unanimously ruled against the Trump administration in a case regarding a Maryland man that the administration wrongfully arrested and deported to an El Salvador mega prison last month. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We had his lawyer on the program just this week. Just over a week ago, the White House admitted in court that Garcia's deportation was a result of an administrative error. Because, you see, back in 2019, Donald Trump was president during that time, you might imagine, he got protected immigration status, which meant he had an active order that he could not be removed or deported. And yet, he was rounded up by the Trump administration anyway. And after they admitted to it in court, they refused to do anything about it. Basically, their stance was, whoopsie, we made an oopsie. He's in an El Salvador supermax. You'll never hear from him again. What do you want from us? Well, just about 2 hours ago, the Supreme Court weighed in unanimously. They now say that a district court, which previously ruled in this case, can indeed instruct the Trump administration to facilitate Garcia's return home. It will not be immediate, but the court says the White House has to start taking those steps.
They tried to call it an administrative error.
Yeah.
Just a little slip up, a bureaucratic oops.
Really?
But let me tell you, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Not for a single second. What happened to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this was deliberate. It was a cold, calculated power move, and we're going to break down every messed up detail.
AR.
Welcome to the deep dive. We don't just scratch the surface here.
Nope.
We dig deep, and we drag the truth out into the light.
That's what we do.
And today, we're going deep into a case that the Trump administration tried to sweep under the rug, tried to make it seem like some innocent mistake. But trust me, this is a gaping hole in the rule of law, a straight-up violation of basic human rights.
You got it. This is way bigger than a simple mistake. Our sources, and we've got legal documents, firsthand accounts, media reports, all of it, it all points to a really disturbing pattern.
Yeah.
A pattern of contempt for our justice system. They didn't just accidentally mess this up. They did it on purpose. This administration thought they were above the law.
Absolutely.
So in this deep dive, we've got a mission. We're going to expose exactly how this injustice happened, step by step. We're going to try to understand what was going on in their heads, why they did this, and we're going to make it crystal clear why this case should scare the hell out of anyone who believes in the values this country is supposed to stand for.
Okay, so let's just rip this Band-Aid off. What exactly was this so-called administrative error?
Okay.
So we're talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Yeah.
He was living in Maryland legally. He had a wife, a kid, an American kid.
Right.
And here's the crucial part. Back in 2019, a federal judge took a look at the garbage excuses the Trump administration was throwing around and said, nope, this guy gets protection from deportation. This wasn't about forgetting to cross a T or dot an I.
It wasn't.
This was a judge looking at the evidence and saying, sending this guy back to El Salvador, that puts his life in serious danger. Right off the bat, what do we see? Disregard for the judiciary, the executive branch ignoring what a court says.
Yeah.
This is messing with the separation of powers right from the get-go, even before this whole legal fight began.
You know, what gets me is how brazen it was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you've got a legal ruling, right?
Yeah.
A court order, literally a shield against deportation for this guy.
And they just
plowed right through it.
ignored it.
Like, it didn't even exist. It wasn't like they just, skimmed over it or missed a detail. This was intentional.
A direct attack on the court's authority.
Absolutely.
And the way they arrested him. I mean, just heartbreaking. It was a regular traffic stop. His 5-year-old son was in the car.
Oh, man.
Imagine being that kid, watching your dad get pulled away like that. And this wasn't like they were arresting a dangerous criminal.
Yeah.
This was a dad, a family man.
Just going about his day.
A legal resident treated like some kind of thug, even though a court order was protecting him.
It's just the cruelty of it all.
And it's deliberate.
It is.
They didn't just deport him. They sent him to El Salvador, the exact place a judge had said was dangerous for him.
The one place he wasn't supposed to go.
And to make things worse, they threw him into this notorious mega prison there.
It's like they were trying to make his life hell.
They weren't just sending him back to his country. They were knowingly putting him in harm's way.
Directly defying that court order.
Okay, and here's where it goes from bad to just infuriating. Initially, when they got caught, when they were backed into a legal corner, the administration, through a Justice Department lawyer, they basically admitted it. They said, yeah, we messed up.
They did. It's like a tiny sliver of accountability, you think.
Right. A little bit of honesty.
Yeah.
But no.
Not even close.
That was gone faster than you could blink.
You know, that initial admission, it's important. It is. It's like, okay, they know they screwed up. It backs up that court order, right?
Totally. Yeah.
But everything they did after that, that shows their real intentions. They flip-flopped, fought like hell in court.
Yeah.
That tells you everything. They were more worried about pushing their hateful agenda than making things right.
Right. So, Judge Paulachinas, the federal judge, she orders them to bring Abrego Garcia back.
The right thing to do.
You'd think, okay, they admitted they were wrong, a judge gave a clear order, end of story.
Makes sense.
But nope. The Trump administration, full of themselves, they decide to double down. They appeal the order.
Serious.
To the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Wow.
So, just a quick breakdown for our listeners. The district court, that's the first level of federal court, right? They said bring him back.
Right.
But the administration thought, nah, we're going to the next level, the Fourth Circuit, where a bunch of judges review that decision.
It's like they were saying, screw the courts. We don't care what you say.
They weren't just picking on one guy. They were going after the whole judicial system.
This wasn't just a procedural move, you know. This was a big screw you to the system.
Oh, absolutely.
They were showing everyone they didn't care about being held accountable.
And the Fourth Circuit, they weren't having it. Unanimous decision. They sided with the lower court, and even Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson III, a Reagan appointee, he just let them have it.
Didn't hold back.
Nope. I love this quote. There is no question that the government screwed up here.
Oh, he went off.
He didn't stop there.
No way.
He slammed them for doing absolutely nothing to fix their own disaster.
They literally did the exact thing they weren't supposed to do.
Exactly. And think about it. A Reagan appointee laying down the law like that. That tells you this wasn't about politics.
This was about basic legal principles. Everyone agreed.
But oh no, the Trump administration, they just wouldn't quit. Arrogant, ignoring the law, they take it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Unbelievable.
And their arguments, you won't believe this.
Lay it on me.
They claim the lawyer, who admitted the mistake, that he didn't actually speak for them.
No way.
And get this, they reportedly punished the guy for telling the truth. What does that tell you?
Loyalty to the agenda over everything.
And the lies just kept coming, even at the Supreme Court. They dug up this whole MS-13 thing again. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was their go-to for immigration cases, basically saying everyone was a gang member.
A total smear campaign.
And in Abrego Garcia's case, a federal judge had already said that was bogus. But they wouldn't let it go. It didn't matter if it was true or not. It fed their anti-immigrant agenda, and that's all that mattered.
They just kept repeating those debunked claims. It shows you what their priorities were.
Right.
They cared more about scoring political points than about the truth, about fairness, about a man's life.
And then came the argument that just made me sick.
What was that?
They said, our hands are tied. After illegally deporting this guy, they actually said they couldn't bring him back because he was outside the U.S.
Are you kidding me?
And get this, the U.S. government was paying the Salvadoran government millions of dollars to hold deportees. They created this mess and then pretended they couldn't do anything about it.
Talk about hypocrisy.
The whole our hands are tied thing.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Wow.
They just wanted to avoid responsibility.
They had the power to fix it, but they chose not to.
They even had the nerve to tell the Supreme Court that the district judge was overstepping, like asking them to fix their own illegal mess was interfering with their executive power.
Seriously. That's a twisted way of looking at things.
Right.
The courts are there to make sure the government follows the law.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
It's called checks and balances, hello.
Telling them to correct an illegal deportation, that's not overreach, it's their job.
Okay, but while all this legal back and forth was happening, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he was stuck in a dangerous Salvadoran prison. His wife said she couldn't even talk to him. This is the real-life, devastating consequence of this so-called error.
Yeah.
A family torn apart, a man's life hanging in the balance. And remember, this all started because they snatched a dad away from his family during a traffic stop.
It's easy to get lost in the legal arguments, but we can't forget the human cost. This man's life was turned upside down.
And it gets even worse.
Else?
Our sources point to a bigger issue here. There's evidence they were being sneaky and hiding things, like they were dodging the judge's questions about deportations, trying to stay in the shadows because what they were doing wouldn't hold up in the light.
That kind of secrecy is a huge red flag.
It is.
If a government is hiding stuff from the courts and the public, it means they know they're doing something wrong.
But finally, a little bit of justice.
Thank goodness.
The Supreme Court, they sided with the lower courts.
About time.
They told the Trump administration, you got to bring Abrego Garcia back.
Did they fight it?
Well, they tried to get out of it by saying one tiny part of the case needed another look.
Okay.
But the message was loud and clear. They had to fix this mess they made. This whole awful story, it shows you a really scary pattern. Power without limits, breaking the law and calling it enforcement.
It's disturbing.
They make a huge mistake, they ignore a court order, they put a man's life in danger, and then they fight like hell to get away with it. Their agenda, their whole platform of hate and division, it means more to them than basic human decency, more than the foundation of our legal system.
And you know what's even more chilling? Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, they pointed this out.
Yeah.
Basically, the administration was saying they could deport anyone, even U.S. citizens, no consequences, as long as they did it quick before a court could step in.
That's terrifying.
It is. It's like they're saying they're above the law.
Let's be real here. This is way bigger than just immigration policy.
It is.
This goes to the heart of our democracy. Are we a country ruled by laws? Or are we ruled by whatever some president decides? Do court orders even matter anymore? Does the truth matter?
Yeah.
If they don't like what the law says, can they just ignore it? This whole thing started because they wanted to deport people, to divide us. And they were willing to break the law to do it.
The Supreme Court ordering Abrego Garcia's return, that was a win for the rule of law. But this fight isn't over.
Not even close.
The Trump administration showed us they're willing to do whatever it takes to get what they want. They don't care about the rules.
So let me sum this up for you.
Okay.
We saw a man illegally deported, even though he had legal protection.
Right.
We saw a court order ignored by the most powerful people in the government.
And then a massive legal battle just to force them to fix their own mistake.
And what does that tell us? This isn't just some news story. It's a wake-up call. Power without accountability is dangerous. It threatens our democracy.
You know, our sources end with a really powerful message, and I think it's worth repeating. This isn't just about one guy or some bureaucratic error. It's about who we are as a nation. What do we stand for? Do we believe in the rule of law, or do we let the government walk all over us?
This isn't something to just listen to and forget about.
It's not.
This is a call at action. Pay attention. Talk to your friends and family about this. Make sure they understand what happened, how dangerous this was, and most importantly, speak up. Fight for our democracy. This is The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.